here at the corner of 3rd and King Street, 24 Willie Mays Plaza. After all the pomp and ceremony, the Giants went to work against their ancient rivals with a comeback win in the home opener. Tonight, Matt Cain takes center stage in Game 2 of the series. It's the Giants and the Dodgers coming up next. Tonight, all roads lead to 24 Willie Mays Plaza. There's the Mays statue out front. The Giants and the Dodgers, Game 2 of their series. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Mike Krukow. Welcome to Giants baseball. And quite a day yesterday. Now the Giants will try and do it again. And Matt Cain takes them on. Cain has faced the Dodgers many times over the years. However, it was not until just the last few years that he had any success against them.
Well, and the Giants are wondering what Matt Cain they're going to get. I mean, prior to his 2015 season where he didn't pitch against the Dodgers at all, I mean, he really had some ownage on him. But then he had some arm problems. And all last year, he struggled to find the release point with his fastball. That'll be key tonight when we watch Cain as to what type of fastball command he has. It'll be essential to pitch against this hot, offensive Dodger team that he hits his spots.
They hit the ball really hard yesterday. They did put 6 runs on the board, although the Giants won the game 12-6. Now Cain will be pitching to the rookie Trevor Brown. Buster Posey taking the night off after a 3-hit day yesterday. And yet this Giants lineup still seems to be pretty potent even without Buster Posey.
Well, I mean, the beautiful thing about this Giants lineup is that they have distribution of threat up and down the lineup. There is no soft spot in this lineup, and you really have to bring your A game when you're playing against this Dodger team. They're still a very confident bunch.
So the Giants and the Dodgers, Ross Stripling, a rookie, will make his major league debut for the Dodgers tonight. But yesterday, what a moment for Hunter Pence to put a cap on the Giants' comeback victory with a grand slam. Amy G with more on that when we come back.
AT&T Park. Fans get into their seats early. They do not want to miss 1 minute of Game 2 of this 4-game series against none other than the Los Angeles Dodgers. Welcome back to the broadcast, everyone. I'm Amy Gutierrez. You could not have asked for a better home opener for San Francisco Giants fans. A come-from-behind win. 11 different players recording hits, and of course Hunter Pence recording the big daddy of them all, an 8th-inning grand slam. We're going to make it our BMW drive this evening as we take a look back. 8th-inning, bases loaded. Pence unloads on reliever Pedro Baez. BMW, the ultimate driving machine at BayAreaBMW.com. It is the Giants' first grand slam of the season. Hunter Pence's 6th career slam. Pence known to start seasons slowly, doing anything but. So far in 2016, he is one of 2 Giants to hit safely in all 4 games. Of course, I asked Hunter about the grand slam yesterday, and he humbly said, "You do not do this alone," crediting his teammates that loaded the bases before his big at-bat. Matt Cain making his regular season debut this evening. He's going to square off against Ross Stripling. It's going to be a good one. John and Mike have the call, and we are going to check in with our CSN Bay Area studios for an update right after these messages. Stay with us. Game 2 shortly.
You always want to win your home opener. Giants did that, so check. You always want to beat the Dodgers. Giants did that, so check. 2 birds, 1 stone in game number 1 at AT&T Park. Dodgers and Giants getting set for game number 2, and we're going to get you set as well. Tim Flannery, Ahmed Fareed here in our Sportsnet Central CSN studio. So Matt Cain going to be on the mound for this one. Flan, I had a little bit of a hiccup in spring, injured for a bit, but he is starting the season in the rotation.
You know, I saw him yesterday, and we've said this before, when the game is taken away from you, it really becomes sacred. And he worked very, very hard through these injuries, and he had a year of injuries. So to have him back, I'm sure personally for him, it's really going to be a celebration to toe that rubber tonight. For the ball club, this could be a huge... He's like the wild card in my mind. He was the #1 starter in San Francisco for a long time. You know, he had 6 years of 200 innings plus, a 3-time All-Star. look, they need him. And if he could come out and pitch great, it would really be a plus. And I'm anxious to see how he locates his fastball. I think everything has always gone off of that fastball with Matty.
Did you like what you saw in spring training from him at the end of spring training?
I think he was just getting some of those adhesions not only out of his arm but out of his mind, because when you get hurt, you've dealt with pain for so long, you almost expect it to still be there. But, you know, everything goes off his fastball, then he'll throw that breaking ball, he'll throw the changeup. But to have him in a fifth spot in a rotation, he's not a number 5 starter. He was our number 1 for a lot of years. I think it's really a good place for him to go out and get his pitch count up. He threw 88 pitches in spring training his last outing. Might go to 100 tonight. But more than anything, I hope he's pain-free and he gets in that groove where we can see a couple times this whole rotation work together.
Not many teams have a guy in the 5th spot who threw a perfect game back in the day and was an ace before, but the Giants certainly have that. Giants and Dodgers from AT&T Park. We want to remind you, right after the game, we got you covered with a full hour-long edition of Sportsnet Central back over on CSN Bay Area. Flan will be here for that as well, so when the game is over, for your post-game report, tune it to us. So send it back to John Miller, Mike Krukow, right after this.
AT&T Park as the big crowd is still gathering. The Giants have taken the field. We're moments away from getting started.
All right, time now for our key ingredients of the game, brought to you by Round Table Pizza. The new sausage and sweet pepper supreme pizza is available at participating locations, including online and mobile ordering. Round Table, the last honest pizza. Number 1, welcome back. Matt Cain did not face the Dodgers the entire year of 2015. He is ready to go, and he is a big key to this Giants season tonight. His journey starts. Number 2, offense stay hot. 17 hits yesterday, 12-run performance, and it was coming from every spot in the lineup. Keep it rolling. And number 3, find a batting average for Trevor Brown. He's the only guy who does not have a hit yet. He gets his first start tonight, catching Matt Cain as Buster Posey gets the night off. Those are our Round Table key ingredients.
As Matt Cain takes his warm-ups, let's take a look at the Dodgers batting order. Utley, second base. Seager, shortstop. Turner, third base. Adrian Gonzalez, who had 3 hits yesterday, 2 doubles that were off various Walls here. He's hitting cleanup. Puig in right field. Peterson, who hit a home run, in center field. Van Slyke left field. A.J. Ellis, the catcher, hitting 8th, and the rookie Ross Stripling bats 9th.
On the hill tonight for the Giants will be Matt Cain, the veteran who's in his 11th year at the big league level. Last year, 2-4 with a 5.79 ERA. He's battling back from a shoulder or an elbow operation. For Cain, 6'3", 230-pounder. When you're taking your at-bats against him, you're going to see a fastball that'll go 89 to 92 miles per hour, depending on the grip. When he's on, he'll move that fastball around. He throws a changeup, a curveball, and he will cut the ball.
Two-0. Matt Cain, 31 years old now, and for a long time, at the beginning of his career, he just couldn't beat the Dodgers, even though there were times where he pitched well against them. But two of the guys who tormented him are not here right now, including Andre Ethier. Ball 3.
Well, he's 5-11 lifetime against the Dodgers, but his lifetime ERA, and we're talking 183 innings. That's like a whole year. And his ERA lifetime 3.49.
And it's a 4-pitch walk for Chase Utley to start it off.
Take a look at the defense playing behind Cain. Starting the Giants outfield from left to right will be Pagan, Span, and Pence. Pence has the best arm. Crawford, Duffy on the left side of the infield. Panic and Bell on the right side. And Trevor Brown gets his first start of the night. He'll be in the squad, putting down the signs.
Corey Seager, the rookie shortstop. That is a called strike. Seager hitting .316. Last year in only 27 big league games, he hit .337 with a .425 on base average. A lot of people think he's going to be a big star in the National League. A ball and a strike.
God, he's a big guy too. He's 6'4", 215 pounds. You stand next to him, and that's big height for a shortstop. It's Cal Ripkenish, who was 6'5".
Down off his foot or his ankle. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Cal Ripken, for the first few years of his career, he kept hearing the rap that he was too tall to play shortstop. He was going to have to move away from there. And Cal thought otherwise. So did his managers. And he became a Hall of Famer. Although very late in his career, moved to third base. Right past the third base coach, Chris Woodward, and the ball dude takes care of it. Jeff Kellogg, the crew chief for this group of umpires behind the plate, with Brian Onora, Alan Porter, John Tumpane from first over to third base. 4 bases. There's a throw to move Utley back to the bag.
I like Jeff Kellogg's strike zone. I think he's a good umpire. He's very steady. He's got a big zone. And I think he's more of a low ball guy, but you'll see width on both sides of the plate.
Belt to get 1. Crawford back to first. Cain covering. Double play. Cain stumbled a little bit, had a hard time finding the bag with his right foot, but he survived it and got the out.
Now this is the double play the hard way, and you really have to have perfect throws. And watch the quickness in the exchange. Not even a stride step from Brandon Crawford as he rifles a strike right to Cain, who somehow finds the bag and completes the pair. Everything has to be perfect. Nicely done.
So 2 down, nobody on. Here is Justin Turner. Turner hit .294 last year. He's had 2 years with the Dodgers, and he has become one of their top hitters. The guy that the Mets just cut loose, and the Dodgers ended up getting a keeper. Brandon Crawford, inning over. It started with a 4-pitch walk, and 6 pitches later, Matt Cain is 3 down and into the dugout. AT&T Park. Let's take a look at the Giants batting order now. Brought to you by Audi. Visit a Bay Area Audi dealer today and get behind the wheel of the Audi model you've always wanted. Denard Span leads off center field. Joe Panik, second base. Hunter Pence in the third spot, right field. Brandon Belt hits cleanup at first. Matt Duffy at third base. Brandon Crawford, the shortstop, hits sixth. Angel Pagan, seventh in left field. Trevor Brown, with Buster Posey being given the night off, gets his first start behind the plate. The rookie catcher, and Matt Cain, the pitcher, bats ninth.
On the hill tonight, making his debut, is the rookie Ross Stripling. No big league experience as we did last year in Tulsa. 3-6 with a 3.880 ERA. If you look at his stats in the minor leagues throughout his career, he's a strike thrower and almost a strikeout an inning. He's got a low 90s fastball, big over the top curveball with that high 3/4 release, and he'll throw a slider. He also has a changeup. Doesn't throw it a lot.
Called a strike.
Problem with a high release like Stripling has is you don't get a lot of movement on the fastball. It's a pretty straight fastball. He has to be able to have corner command.
Center field, Jock Peterson. Plenty of room out there. One away.
Let's check out the Dodger defense. Playing behind Stripling tonight, starting in the outfield will be Van Slyke, Peterson, and Puig. That's from left to right. Good arms on the corner with Van Slyke. Exceptional arm in right field with Puig. Seager and Turner on the left side of the infield. Utley and Gonzalez on the right side. A.J. Ellis, the veteran, he'll be in the squad, putting down the signs.
Joe Panik. And his ball one. Panik, 6 hits, 17 at bats, a 353 average so far after hitting 312 and a 378 on base last year. But he was, in some ways, he was sort of the quintessential second place hitter. Left-handed hitter who could pull the ball through an open hole with a runner at first, and also a high on base percentage. Good hit and run man. Not to mention that he looked like a Gold Glover at second base for most of last year. And then he had the cracked bone in his tailbone and missed the last couple of months. That's called strike. At the low strike there did Stripling, and it's 2-2. Hunter Pence is on deck. Right back to Stripling. And that's all for Panik. 2 down for the Giants.
You always think about that saying that Willie Mays really is made famous around the clubhouses at every major league ballpark. And I always say, who's the toughest hitter, who's the toughest pitcher you ever faced? He'd say, the guy I didn't know. And for the Giants, they can all say that tonight because nobody has any experience against Ross Stripling. He is an unknown.
Hunter Pence, who hit the grand slam in the 8th inning here yesterday, and he takes a called strike. 6th grand slam in Pence's career. 2 of his last 3 hit against the Dodgers. Curveball, and you can see, by the way, that was called a strike, and you can see a little rain falling now. We may have some light showers from time to time throughout the evening. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Pence.
There's a big over the top 12-6 break on the curveball that Stripling has. I understand he's a little pumped up making his debut, and to do it against the Dodgers rivals on the road. Find out what this kid's made of.
2-2. Well, a big night for Ross Stripling, 26 years old, coming back from Tommy John surgery. Left center field, deep. Van Slyke gets there. A long run for Van Slyke, but a lot of room out there. It's 404 feet to that spot where the left field wall meets the center field wall. Dodgers coming up. Adrian Gonzalez, then Puig. 22nd, that's 2 weeks from tonight, will be golf night here as part of the Swinging Skirts LPGA Classic special event package available that night. Get your ticket to see the Giants and the Marlins, and then a bobblehead of World Golf Hall of Famer and Bay Area native Julie Inkster. Reminder, to receive the bobblehead, you've got to get the special event ticket. Call 415-972-2298 right now. 415-972-2298 or visit sfgiants.com/special events. A strike in the rain to Adrian Gonzalez from Matt Cain. Gonzalez has faced Cain 74 times in big league games and a .297 batting average against him. Rain is getting a little heavier now. That's peeling foul off the left field line back into the crowd. Strike two. Gonzalez does have 4 homers in his 74 official at bats against Cain.
You face a guy 10 times, you know him. You face a guy 74 times, you know everything about him. You know what his high school English teacher's name was.
Back to the screen.
And it just becomes a matter of, well, it's a chess match is what it is. I mean, you're guessing, he's guessing. You know his hot spots, you know his weak spots. And with a hitter like Gonzalez, there's no one way to pitch him. You have to hit your spots, you have to mix your speeds. You can't make mistakes because he will make you pay. And he's hot right now.
Gonzalez, so far this year in the 4 games the Dodgers have played, has had 7 hits and 14 at bats, plus 4 walks. He's been on base 11 times in 18 plate appearances. Out of play off to the left.
Good fastball. 90-92 so far tonight from Cain. I mean, that's really what he was cruising at 3 years ago before he had the problems with his elbow. The problems were just bone chips that he had to eventually get taken out from with surgery.
2-2. Like a cutter down and in. 87 miles an hour. No score in the game. That's hit well. Deep left center. Pagan looking up into the rain. Flags it down after a long run. That's a nice play.
Every time you see a ball hit the opposite way in the air from Adrian Gonzalez, you kind of hold your breath. He's got great power that way. Not a lot of carry in this ballpark. And that really doesn't apply to Gonzalez. More than enough power to flip it out over that wall in left field. Concentration, watch it into the glove.
That's a base hit right up the middle for Yasiel Puig. First ball swinging. And that is his 9th hit in 16 at bats. And he's now been on base 12 times in 19 plate appearances. So Gonzalez and Puig both red hot at the start.
That was the Dodgers' hope that he would get his act together and get off to a hot start, and it's happening. They came well prepared.
Get their slickers. So here is Jock Peterson. Peterson hit a long home run in yesterday's game. Made it a 1-run game in the 8th inning just before the Giants then added on 5 more runs to break it wide open in the last of the 8th. See that steady. It's not a heavy rain, but it's a steady rain falling here. Giants have the overshift on for Jock Peterson. 3 infielders to the right of second. Only Matt Duffy remains on the left side.
Pretty straight away in the outfield. And they are playing a deep set in right field, that respectful of his power, and he's got pop.
Popped up. And Brandon Crawford out number 2.
Here to classify Cain as to what type of pitcher he is. He's a fly ball strikeout guy. He always has been. Puts a lot of balls in the air, and so is Ross Stripling. And just the one inning we've seen of him, he's more of a fly ball strikeout guy than a ground ball guy.
Scott Van Slyke, very powerful. Van Slyke hit a ball in the 5th inning off the left field wall for an RBI double. Puig, the runner at first. The guy that Kane is not having to face tonight, Andre Ethier, who's on the disabled list. Ethier in 70 career at bats has a .429 average against Kane. And it's only .429 because Kane has had a lot more success against him in recent years. Used to be up over 500. In the dirt, scooped out by Brandon Belt.
Well, he's learned them. He's figured them out a little bit. The price of education up here is costly. When you get a guy, especially a guy with power that sees you well and hits you well as a young pitcher, I mean, you're going to learn some hard lessons. And pretty much that was the case with Kane in his early meetings against Ethier.
Right on the outside corner for a called strike to Van Slyke. Van Slyke with a quick look at his third base coach, Chris Woodward. George Lombard is coaching over at first. Dodgers have a new manager, a lot of new coaches. Don Mattingly, the former manager, now with the Miami Marlins. That's just off the outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. We'll see Don Mattingly and his Marlins, Giancarlo Stanton, Marcell Ozuna and company. 2 weeks from tonight they come in with their new hitting instructor, Barry Bonds.
I've heard of him.
1-2.
Well, so far tonight, I mean, he's really got a feel of all his pitches. Nice little cutter at 86. Not a big break, it's just a little subtle 3-inch slide that rolls away from Van Slyke. Nice location on that outside corner.
Puig back to the bag at first. This Dodger team not only has a lot of hitting up and down the lineup, they have a lot of speed. Puig is one of them. Check swing foul into the second deck off to the right. A ball and 2 strikes to Scott Van Slyke. Day games here tomorrow and Sunday. And tomorrow, one of those great matchups. Madison Bumgarner for the Giants and Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers. Pretty good matchup on Sunday as well. Johnny Cueto for the Giants against Scott Kazmir, veteran lefty. 2-2. Giants will hit the road after the weekend series is over. They begin a series in Colorado on Tuesday, and then they'll go to LA next weekend. There goes Puig. And the throw bounced up and in under the tag. Yasiel Puig with the steal. His first of the year.
Let's take a look at the jump that Puig has. I mean, he's a big man and he can get to full speed in a couple of strides. I think that ball does not bounce. They get him. Once you bounce a ball, you cause that middle infielder to raise the glove. And plenty of opportunity to get underneath that glove for Puig.
So now a runner in scoring position. 3 balls, 2 strikes to count to Van Slyke. 2 down in the inning, no score. Ellis, the catcher, on deck. Driven into deep center. Span squares up. The side retired. A fly ball induced by the fly ball pitcher, Matt Cain. Brandon Belt coming up.
This game against the Giants and the Dodgers as we head into the bottom of the second inning. Welcome back to the broadcast, everyone. A lot of hardware handed out before tonight's game. Several Giants honored for their outstanding achievements in 2015. Madison Bumgarner, Buster Posey, Brandon Crawford, all Silver Slugger Award winners from last year. The best hitter in their position, their respective position. Brandon Crawford, a Gold Glove winner, the best defender at his position, and Buster Posey, the Wilson Defensive Player of the Year. They are collecting a lot of pretty things. Hope they have a place to put it, gentlemen.
Thanks to Amy G. And congratulations to those guys. Well deserved. And I think many who follow the new analytics, where they are able to break down the fielding and in terms of a catcher, not just the fielding but the ability to receive and frame strikes, that sort of thing. Right into the defense, but hit softly and in from right field. Chase Utley, no, that's Turner, Justin Turner, the third baseman, was the third infielder on the right side, and he had a long run, but he got Brandon Belt one away. The Bumgarner, his second Silver Slugger award. Crawford, his first Gold Glove and his first Silver Slugger. Buster Posey's third Silver Slugger award and the Wilson Defensive Catcher award. But a lot of people who follow those analytics said for catchers that they thought Buster actually deserved the Gold Glove. But he got the defensive award. Congratulations to all those guys. And another guy that the analytics were very high on in terms of his defense, third baseman Matt Duffy last year. No score, one out, nobody on. Stripling, the rookie. 2-1 the count to Duffy. Both of these teams have hit well so far in the early season. Duffy with a foul. Duffy comes in hitting .278 with 2 homers and 6 runs batted in. The Giants have averaged a little over 7 runs a game so far. Although it has also, they've had 2 games with 12.
Yeah, it kind of overshadows the 2 that they had 3 and 2 for a total of 5. And so it goes.
And one of which they won.
2-1.
Back at Johnny Cueto. 3-2 the count to Matt Duffy from Stripling. Crawford on deck. In the right field, hanging, and the dive, and what a play by Yasiel Puig. And he is grimacing.
I think he may have landed on his belt. I mean, he just completely goes prone. Really, I think the toughest play for an outfielder is this one. The ball coming into you. It wasn't directly hit at him. He had a little angle to it, but I think definitely uncomfortable the way he landed. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's right on the belt. Spectacular play.
Wow.
And that is 100% pure athleticism right there. Yep, Ross Stripling likes it. Why not?
Matt Duffy got robbed. Here's Brandon Crawford. They're not in the complete overshift that they've been in for Crawford for much of this series. But the third baseman, Turner, was a good 30. Well, you see where he is right there, way off the line and backed up. Crawford bluffed the bunt. Now he drops it. Stripling in the dirt and handled by Gonzalez. Well done on both ends. The quick play by Stripling and the excellent grab by Gonzalez. And we're heading to the third. Toyota's Everyone's Talking Prius event. And everyone's talking Prius, Prius, Prius. Visit buyatoyota.com now for deals on the totally redesigned 2016 Prius. Now, the Giants have scored 12 runs twice within their first 4 games in this, their 134th season. And they last did that in their second season in 1884. So a rather rare occurrence in the long history of the Giants, or any other team for that matter. 12 on opening day, the season opener in Milwaukee, and then 12 more in the home opener yesterday. The most in an opening day game here at AT&T Park in the 17 years they played here. A.J. Ellis late on that fastball into the crowd off to the right, well upstairs. 1 ball, 2 strikes, facing Matt Cain.
Well, it was funny how it all unfolded, because it was 4-0 going into the bottom of the 5th yesterday, and all of a sudden the fireworks hit.
That's all for Ellis. Strike 3 called.
Well, thanks for stopping by. Cain, the first time through this lineup, has definitely shown the Dodgers that he can spot all of his stuff. It's all working, and he's got some weapons.
Stripling, and it's 0-1. Stripling in his first major league game, 6 feet 3 inches tall. There is Span on the move. Out number 2.
Giants Baseball is brought to you in part by McDonald's. Download the McD app on your smartphone for great deals on the food you love at participating McDonald's.
2 down, the leadoff man, Chase Utley, comes up now. The Padres, by the way, who got shut out 3 days in a row to start their season against the Dodgers this week. They played the Rockies home opener today, and they scored. And once they started scoring, it took a long while to keep them from scoring, as they were shut out the first 3 innings of that game, and then they scored 6 runs in the 4th and 3 in the 5th and 2 more in the 6th. Ended up beating Colorado 13-6. At the knees for a called strike to Chase Utley. The former Dodger Matt Kemp had 4 hits and 4 runs batted in that game in Denver.
So San Diego's averaging over 3 runs a game now.
Let's see, 4 games, 13. That's right, 3.3.
It's amazing how that all works out.
1-2 now to Utley. But the guy who still would grab the headlines for that game today in a loss, the rookie shortstop of the Rockies, Trevor Story. Cain's off the inside, 2-2. He had, remember, had homered in the first 3 games of the season. Hit 4 homers in the first 3 games, at least 1 in all 3 of them, and he did it again today, twice. Belt picked up by Panic. Cain covering, safe.
Base hit all the way. It would have been a nice play if Belt was able to catch it. It would have been an even nicer play had Panic been able to play the carom and get a ball with a Cain in time to get the force. But Utley, I don't care how old he is, he still gets down that first baseline well. He didn't give you a lot of time. Watch the replay. Pretty easy call for first base umpire Brian O'Nora.
Infield hit for Chase Utley. Corey Seager now. 2 hits for the Dodgers. Seager grounded into a double play his first time. But how about this Trevor Story? He's the first rookie in history to homer in each of his first 4 games in the big leagues. And he's hit 6 in those 4 games. He hit 2 today. Joe Panic, and the inning is over. The 1 hit, 1 man left. 3 shutout innings for Cain. Giants have Angel Pagan coming up. 0-0. 6-0 as we go to the last half of the third inning. April the 8th, and this is the birthday for Larry Baer, the Giants president, CEO. And happy birthday to Larry. There he is with his beautiful wife Pam and the fam. So happy birthday to Larry Baer, who grew up a Giants fan. And there is the notice they put up on the scoreboard, sort of a happy birthday card on the big jumbo screen out there in center field.
Well, I think they conquered the fear of having a good time in that suite. But I think the key of it was the hat that he had on. That was a good one.
2-0 now to Angel Pagan.
Peter McGowan had a birthday earlier this week, so we wish a happy birthday to Peter as well.
Peter, who along with Larry were instrumental in keeping the Giants in San Francisco when they'd been sold to be moved to St. Petersburg, Florida. 2-1 now to Pagan. And Peter was also instrumental in getting the Golden Gate Bridge foghorn over here to commemorate Giants home runs. Jock Peterson in left center. And we're going to go a little bit of a slide there at the end. That one started knuckling, it looked like. But there is one away. Time for Xfinity Future Focus. X1 will change the way you experience TV only from Xfinity. Tyler Beede, Giants prospect in the minor leagues, last night in Richmond in Double-A ball. 5 innings, 2 runs, 7 hits allowed, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Out of Vanderbilt, he was a Commodore, 22 years old. He was the 14th overall pick, the Giants' first rounder, a couple of years ago. Tyler Beede, remember that name. 0-1 to Trevor Brown. Buster Posey being given the night off tonight. Buster played the day game after a night game in Milwaukee on Thursday. But they want him always to catch Madison Bumgarner when possible. So Bumgarner goes tomorrow on the day game after a night game. Buster has the night off as Brown goes down. That's the first major league strikeout for Stripling. There's Buster alongside Jake Peavy to his left, and former Giants catcher Eli Whiteside. He's in the bullpen for the Giants now. To Buster's right.
Well, you got one from Mississippi, one from Georgia, one from Alabama. South well represented in this Giants clubhouse.
And I saw there's a slider for a strike to Matt Cain. Cain, as a hitter, not much for a batting average, but he got some power. Until Madison Bumgarner came along, he was the guy who had the most power of any Giant pitcher.
Well, now I think he's third because you got Bumgarner and Jeff Samardzija.
That's a foul ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Samardzija can hit him as far as anybody. Talking over with Matt Duffy.
And that's right in there. Strike 3 called. The Giants go down in order, and they have not yet put a man on base against the rookie. Turner, then Adrian Gonzalez, and Puig coming up.
Home opener, gentlemen. Not many cheers when the Dodgers were announced, except for one. Rookie manager Dave Roberts, who we like to think in these parts as a former really good Giant. He was with San Francisco from 2007 to 2008. He played for Bruce Bochy. The two of them are very good friends to this day. He's probably one of the best people that we all know. I think we can all agree on that. And he's just making it very hard to keep this rivalry alive. You cannot help but like Dave Doc Roberts. But we're going to try. We're going to try really hard, gentlemen.
You know, I used to like him a lot better than I like him now.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works. And you know what, funny thing, I really like Don Mattingly a lot better now. It's just amazing.
You know, I always liked him, although somehow there were things about him that I really didn't like there for a while.
Yeah, just the last several years. But he suddenly has redeemed himself.
Yasiel Puig due up third in the inning. Justin Turner leading it off here against Matt Cain. Dodgers big hitters coming up here. Turner, Gonzalez, and Puig, the 3, 4, 5 spots in their batting order. No score in the game. Dodgers 2 hits. And the Giants have not had a base runner against the rookie Stripling. And a pretty good take there by Justin Turner. 2-1 the count.
A lot of moving parts in his swing. He's got a big leg hitch. He really drops his hands low. But he manages to stay on top of the ball.
3-1.
It's important when you have a lot of moving parts like that you don't drop that back shoulder. You keep that back shoulder high, you can still have a flat swing. You can still backspin a baseball. It's all his timing mechanisms. Big hitches.
A soaring pop-up. Shallow right. Belt and Panic. Pence coming in. It's Belt all the way into the bullpen. 1 away. You know, this is when I really liked Dave Roberts a few years back.
Well, the thing about Dave Roberts, who really does look good in whatever uniform he's wearing, is you can't be around the guy very long without liking him. I mean, he's just a good guy.
Well, Roberts, and I think it was a big surprise in most circles when he was named as the Dodger manager. He'd never managed before. 0-1 now to Adrian Gonzalez. But there was a soaring pop-up behind the plate. Brown all the way back to the screen, runs out of room. The ball is just a couple of rows back. Dave Roberts played for the Giants back in 2007 and 2008. But it was after he got to the Dodgers. He had a lot of years in the minor leagues with Cleveland. He had some big league experience, but he never got there to stay. It was under Jim Tracy that he was made the everyday center fielder. They were looking for guys who just would play hard and with some heart to try to change the culture at that time. And Roberts was a guy that Tracy thought could help do that, as Crawford throws out Gonzalez. And Dave Roberts not only played extremely well for the Dodgers, gave them great speed at the top of the lineup. It was sort of a match made in heaven because Maury Wills, who had a very similar kind of a career arc to Roberts, years and years in the minor leagues before he got to the big leagues. And Maury Wills became one of the greatest base stealers in the history of the game. And there was Roberts with all this speed, and Maury looked at him and said, "Man, he reminds me of me." And we used to get to Dodger Stadium and the Giants go down there hours before the game, and there they'd be out, just the two of them, working on bunting, working on getting leads, working on the various aspects of stealing bases. Yasiel Puig. But when Dave Roberts stole the biggest base in the history of the Boston Red Sox to help them come from behind and beat the Yankees for the pennant in 04. Maury Wills called him afterward. He said, "When you did that, I knew you were going to steal that bag. Everybody in the world knew you were going, and you did it. And I'm so proud of you. I felt like I was down there with you." Puig is thrown out by Duffy. Very strong inning against three of the Dodgers' best hitters for Matt Cain. Top of the order with Pence, the third one coming up.
We go to the 2004 ALCS Game 4. Red Sox down 3 games tonight. Dave Roberts pitch runs for Kevin Millar in the bottom of the 9th inning. With the Boston Red Sox down a run, he steals second, and Billy Miller knocks him in off of the great Mariano Rivera. They would tie the score, they would go on to win, and they would never lose again. That is our Jeep play of the game. Brought to you by Jeep Cherokee with an EPA estimated 31 highway miles per gallon. It's the perfect choice. Visit Jeep.com for more information.
Dave Roberts, in the history of a franchise known for its sluggers, Ted Williams and Carl Yastrzemski and Jim Rice, players like that. Dave Roberts stands alone in their history for that stolen base. They were down 3 games to none in that series, and they did something that no team had ever done before or had ever done since. Win 4 in a row in a best of 7 after trailing 3 games to none. And it started with that game. They were down, as you say, at the bottom of the 9th. They're down by a run, and the great Rivera is out there. And Dave Roberts, a former Giant, got the steal, and Bill Miller came up, the former Giant, and knocked them in with a single. That changeup really fooled Denard Span.
He did not pick it up. So far, it's been all Ross Stripling. 9 up, 9 down. Interesting to see how the Giants make adjustments, having seen Stripling now one time.
Shallow center. Peterson. And he caught it. Another great play in the Dodger outfield. Puig in the 2nd inning. Now Jock Peterson takes one away in the 4th.
Well, a little off the end of the bat. Not a great jump from Peterson, but boy, did he make up for it. And when he finally catches up to this thing, that glove is not that far off the ground. Beautiful backhander as he extends completely straight out. And just sort of rolls to protect himself. Great defensive play.
Joe Panik now. And the Dodgers defense has been exceptional here in the early innings back of Ross Stripling. Panik hit one right back to Stripling his first time. He's 0 for 1. Giants have not had a base runner. Called a strike on the outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Everything has been out of the windup for Stripling, and I think that most young pitchers like the windup more than the stretch. The longer you play this game, it usually reverts the other way. By the time you get out of this game, you like the stretch more than the windup.
2-1 the count. Stripling has only thrown 40 pitches. He's been retiring the Giants, and he's not had to take a whole long time doing it. 3-1. Hunter Pence is on deck. Well, Stripling is just completely throttling the Giants. The Dodgers have not scored against Matt Cain. There's Pence getting ready. That's a walk. First base runner for the Giants.
And the longer it takes you to get in the stretch, the longer it takes you to find a rhythm out of the stretch. So, and usually what happens when you get in the stretch for the first time, you will make mistakes up. Some guys can make the adjustments within 3 or 4 pitches, but there's 3 or 4 pitches of vulnerability that sometimes can provide opportunity to a hitting team.
Well, Hunter Pence got a hanging slider that was up yesterday and launched it 431 feet, according to Hit Tracker Online. Out in the deep left center for a grand slam. And that's a called strike.
The thing about Stripling is he's not afraid to get after that strike 1. And he's done a good job of mixing his pitches up so as not to be predictable on that first pitch.
Runner at first. That was up, in, and a little bit too far in. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Not a bad 0-1 pitch.
Now Pence grand slam in a home opener. It had been 69 years since a Giant had hit a grand slam in a home opener. And Bill Rigney was the one to do it, 1947 at the Polo Grounds. Curveball hangs very high. 2-1. Let's go back to yesterday.
Well, it was just a slider that didn't slide. And Pence, after the game, said that he was up there and he was watching how Baez was throwing to Posey, and he liked his slider. So he went up there with the idea he was going to look for a slider early in the count. He got one, he got a hanger, and that's what he did with it.
Off the outside. So now it's 3-1. Now maybe he likes to pitch up to Pence, but you mentioned out of the stretch tendency to be a little bit wild up, and he's been up with every pitch to Pence so far. Brandon Belt is on deck. 3-1 the count. Panic at first. He's running. And that is very high. Ball 4. He's walked 2 in a row.
So A.J. Ellis going to come out there and slow things down, or try to slow things down for Stripling. I mean, that's the thing about it. It's great to stay in that lineup a long time, but when you finally do get in the stretch, it's a different release point, and it can be problematic for some.
So Brandon Belt, he grounded out to third his first time. The Dodgers have, at this point, pretty much vacated shortstop. Turner stays over near third base. He's got to with a runner at second. The shortstop Seager's almost right up the middle behind Joe Panik. Changed up, and it's 0-1.
It's become a good pitch for him. Pitch he didn't really throw a lot of early in the game, and now it's come to life.
There you see how they're playing it for Brandon Belt. Down and away, 1 ball and 1 strike. Belt, so far in the young season, 5 hits, 15 at bats, 3 doubles. He's also walked 4 times. So he's been on base a lot, but only 1 RBI so far. Base hit could not get a run right here. 2 on, 1 out. No score. Left field. And Van Slyke. Just a high, lazy fly ball. And Brandon Belt can't get it done, so with 2 down, that leaves it to Matt Duffy. First chance for the Giants in this one with men on base. They still haven't had a hit. That's the other part. It's great getting some guys on base. You still have to get a hit, generally speaking, to get somebody home.
Well, Duffy had the best at bat so far tonight of any of the Giants. He really got robbed on a beautiful defensive play from Yasiel Puig, taking away a base hit.
2 on, 2 out. And a curveball for a strike.
Again, mixing up that first pitch.
Duffy was the big RBI man for the Giants in Milwaukee. Another curveball, another called strike.
I definitely thought that was high. You know, one thing Stripling has done, I mean, he's pounded that strike zone. He's got Jeff Kellogg, the plate umpire, looking for strikes. When that happens, I mean, you're going to get some corner pitches, and you're going to get some high pitches.
Panik at second, Pence from first, both ready to run. The crack of the bat. A soft roller. Utley. And the Giants are gone. 2 men left. So Matt Cain puts his hat on, grabs his glove, heads out for the 5th inning. No score.
tonight. Your special event package will include a game ticket to see the Giants take on the Pods and a collector's edition Giants theme Year of the Monkey figurine. Go to sfgiants.com/special events and check it out.
And a called strike to Jock Peterson, who popped up to short his first time. Scott Van Slyke is on deck. Change up, and it's 0-2.
Nice two-pitch combination right there. Establish the fastball, come back, same arm action. Take about 5 feet off and gets Peterson way out front.
Giants have 3 infielders to the right of second. Third base is kind of undefended now with Duffy over to shortstop. Still 0-2.
Yeah, I mean, really, Cain is doing everything he wants to do with the ball tonight. I mean, that was a pitch up by design. Fastball, change up, fastball, but change sight lines across the letters, middle end.
One and two.
We've seen nights where Cain goes out there and really didn't have a curveball or much of a slider and get people out with just the fastball changeup combination.
Two and two. One thing about Jock Peterson, even though he hit only 178 after the All-Star break last year, and he was an All-Star halfway through the season, he gets a lot of walks. He's got a very strong knowledge of the strike zone. He walked almost 100 times last year. 2-2 the count. Although when he stopped getting base hits, I think there were those who thought, well, maybe he's walking a little bit too often. Maybe he's taking some pitches he ought to try hitting.
Well, and he doesn't make much of a two-strike adjustment. He doesn't want to give up power for average, and I think that'll change as he matures.
3-2. That one is slammed down the right field line. Base hit. Peterson, a very fast runner, as Pence digs it out. It's a stand-up double for Jock Peterson. And he looked very excited as he legged it into second.
Just get in there and dig. You know you don't have a lot of time, but it's got to be a clean pickup or it's going to cost you another 90 feet because of the speed Peterson has.
Off the outside to Scott Van Slyke. 3 hits for the Dodgers now. Cain has walked 1. He's had 1 strikeout. Cain had a very pronounced economy of pitches. He'd thrown only 52 pitches the first 4 innings. But he's getting into some trouble here. He's having a hard time getting the ball to go where he wants it to go, and now Trevor Brown goes out to chat with him.
Well, he's noticed that twice in this inning he's gotten underneath pitches. One was a slider, kind of a cutter, and then this last fastball. And I think very quickly he wants to come out there. I mean, I think in Cain's mind, with a runner at second base, nobody out, he's pitching for the strikeout here, a 0-0 ball game. And at times you'll start to nibble early in the count. You can fall behind, which is what he's done. So Brown going to go out there and try and refocus the veteran. You like to see that from a rookie catcher, though, to have the guts to go out there and talk to a guy who's got 10+ years at this level.
Big pitch here, 2-0 to a dangerous hitter. He got in the hands a little bit, and that ball is out of play. 2-1. Well, we saw that last year when Brown first came up. He impressed just about everything about his game as a catcher, impressed the Giants. 2-1 the count. Left center field. Span calling off Pagan. And that's all for Van Slyke.
Yeah, that's as good as a strikeout, a non-productive out. Peterson cannot move up.
Now A.J. Ellis, the catcher. He was called out on strikes his first time. Runner at second, one out, and a curveball in there for a called strike to A.J. Ellis.
And both pitchers tonight have been exceptional in mixing their pitches to get on top of the hitter. A.J. Ellis was not looking for a curveball, and he finds himself in an 0-1 hole taking it.
There's Chuck Peterson at second, and Kane bluffs him back to the bag.
Runner in score position in a 0-0 ball game, you would expect Ellis to expand his strike zone. He's not up there looking for a walk. Not with a pitcher on deck.
Off the outside with a cutter, and the count is 1-1. Ellis has seen a lot of Kane. He's had 22 at bats, 6 hits, 22 at bats lifetime against him.
Mothers of Invention, Def Leppard. I can't remember.
Oh, that's right. You are from the 60s. I really don't remember. 2-1 the count to A.J. Ellis. No score. We got a pitcher's duel going here.
Yeah, we do.
Base hit, and the Dodgers will take the lead as Peterson comes around to score on the single by A.J. Ellis. 1-0 LA.
They haven't seen many mistakes right out of the middle of the plate from Kane tonight. And the one time he goes in there, Ellis makes him pay for it. Fastball right down the middle, mid-thigh. And Ellis, in an RBI situation, comes up big. It's the Dodgers that draw first blood.
So now Stripling, who flied out to right center his first time.
We don't know much about Stripling as a hitter. If he's not a good hitter, he's going to be asked to bunt here. If he is a good hitter, then he will be allowed to swing. Dodgers know his capabilities.
Both Duffy from third and Belt from first, charging hard toward the plate. The Stripling showing bunt. Now the third base coach, Chris Woodward, calls him over. They're going to talk about this directly. Bunts it, foul. The ball on a strike. In the inning, Peterson led off with a double. 1 out. Ellis singles him home. And the Dodgers have the first run of the game. The Giants have not scored a run, nor have they had a hit against Stripling. Chase Utley, the veteran left-handed hitter, on deck as he shows bunt again. Kane looking Ellis back to first.
Well, and really what dictated that is how close Duffy was playing in on the third base line in defense of the bunt. You see a third baseman get about halfway down the line where Duffy was, you have the option to pull that bat back and try and butcher boy. But Stripling does the right thing. I mean, he sets that bat head right out there on top of the strike zone. It's an easy position to take it back and butcher.
Bunts at it and misses. Strike 3. Second strikeout for Kane. 2 down.
He bunted at that like that's the first curveball he's ever seen.
Chase Utley Has walked and had an infield single. Well, here's what you're talking about.
Ew, what was that?
Wow. You don't see him miss a ball on a bunt by that much very often.
Oh, that's magic.
Wow. Strike one called to Utley.
All right, one more look. He squares the bunt. Here's the curveball. Locked him up. Grab some pine meat.
Just off the inside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You can stand on that inside part of the plate.
Utley has a lot of experience against Cain over the years. 2 veterans. 31 official at bats. That does not include postseason play. 4 home runs against Cain in 31 official at bats. Oh, he looked a little rusty on that swing. 1 and 2.
I don't think he was looking for that speed. 75 pitches is right where you should be at the end of the 5th.
And this has been the busiest inning for Cain yet. This will be his 24th pitch of the inning. And he'll have to pitch more still on this single by Utley. The Dodgers are still alive as Ellis goes to second. And now Corey Seager will come up.
Cain's having a word with himself right now. He had a 1-2 advantage. Got that ball up across the letter. There you see the pitch count. And as John said, this next pitch will be number 25. So he's digging deep right now.
Matt Cain pitching well. The Dodgers have finally broken through for a run here in the 5th inning. And they got the hitters coming up now that could make this into something much bigger. Cain, of all the Giants pitchers, certainly has more experience pitching in games like this than anybody. Maybe anybody in the league. Down 1-0 in the 5th inning. Cain knows about that. There have been years where probably 80% of his starts were like that. They came up with a word for it. The writers who cover the Giants at one point started saying, oh, he got caned. And even if it wasn't Matt Cain pitching, you got shut out, you pitched well, you lost, you got caned.
Well, and especially against this Dodger team. I mean, when he first started pitching against these guys, it took a long time to get his first win. And he would always get beat 1-0, 2-0. He just couldn't score any runs for him. I mean he's thrown 187 lifetime innings against these Dodgers. His ERA is 3.49 and he's got 5 wins.
0-2 the count. 2 on, 2 out. 1-2.
Well, that's a lot of innings against just one team. I mean, you know, as he's in his 11th year, basically one whole year of his big league career was against the Dodgers. And that's how many innings he has against Los Angeles.
The rivalry. Matt Cain knows all about it. Broke in with the Giants in 2005. And that's into the outfield, a base hit. Pence will throw back into second as the Dodgers get their second run of the inning. Seager muscled that one over the infield. That's the 4th hit of the inning. The Dodgers lead 2-0. Utley went round to third.
And it's another base hit and a 2-strike count. And that's 2 of them in this inning. And it really has changed things in the Giants dugout. Dave Righetti out. I'm sure you're going to start to see somebody head their way down into the Giants bullpen. It looked like George Cantos was starting to move around.
So Righetti, well, he's out of time now. Plate umpire Jeff Kellogg goes out to tell him he's going to have to leave. The 30 seconds is up. Righetti back to the dugout. They start a clock now in every ballpark when the pitching coach leaves the dugout to go out to have a chat. And he's only got 30 seconds to get it all finished up. So Justin Turner coming up. There's Utley at third, Seager at first. Belt will play on the bag with Seager. Justin Turner has grounded to short and fouled out to first. Dangerous hitter, especially against the Giants. Plenty of room for Hunter Pence. The inning is over, but the Dodgers send 7 men to the plate. They get 2 runs. Crawford, Pagan, and Brown coming up for the Giants. For games tomorrow and Sunday here with the Dodgers in town. So if you were distraught and lost hope that you could see a game this weekend, well, fear not. Tickets are still available. Tomorrow at 1:05, the first 20,000 fans receive a Beat LA flag courtesy of Coca-Cola. And of course, 2 number 1s going head-to-head, 2 of the best in the game. Madison Bumgarner versus Clayton Kershaw. A classic matchup tomorrow at 1:05. To get tickets, and the tickets also available still for the Sunday matchup, in which Johnny Cueto will make his first start here in San Francisco as a Giant. He'll be up against veteran Scott Kazmir. Go to sfgiants.com/tickets, and we'll look for you. 1:05 both tomorrow and Sunday. 2-0 Dodgers. Giants trailing for the first time, and Ross Stripling throws ball 1 to Brandon Crawford. Crawford bunted, and Stripling made an excellent play near the third base line to pick it up and throw him out at first with considerable help from Adrian Gonzalez. Great hands. Change up off the outside, 2-0. Stripling walked 2 in the 4th inning, but got through it. The Giants have not had a hit against him. Right there in the corner, 2-1.
Nice location down the count, 2-0 to get the strike.
Angel Pagan is on deck. The 6, 7, 8 spots in the Giants batting order, leading off the inning with Kane due up 4th. That's foul down the left field line. 2-2.
Ross Stripling's debut in the big leagues. This is how he's breaking in. And he has not looked nervous at all. He's been very composed. And he has had a really good feel for the strike zone on both sides of the plate.
Right back to Stripling.
Well, Giants baseball is brought to you in part by PG&E. PG&E provides career opportunities for veterans and women through its Power Pathway Workforce Development Program. Learn more at pgne.com/Power Pathway. PG&E, together building a better California.
The Bay Bridge got the lights out with the endless variety of designs. Pagan, curveball, strike 1 call. Pagan flied out to left center his first time.
It's a big off-speed pitch to steal strike 1. I mean, that really has been at his beck and call. Curveball, changeup, the slider, everything has been thrown first pitch. He's had a lot of 0-1s with it.
Jock Peterson's going to get there. 2 down.
Now 60 pitches with 2 outs here in the 5th. We talk about 75 or less is what you're looking for. So, I mean, he really has been very economical in the amount of pitches that he's had to throw tonight.
Trevor Brown struck out his first time. 2 down, bases empty. 0-1. We had another game end tonight. Second time in the first week of the season that a game has ended on an infraction of the new rule about sliding into second base. And we saw the slide on the monitor in the booth. I don't think there's any question it was an illegal slide, but it was not a double play situation, but they called it a double play because that's the rule.
Well, it's called the Utley rule. It was a slide that he made last year in the postseason against the Mets. And it has changed everything.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Just a little bit low. 2-2.
Tried to zip line him with a little fastball after he got kind of put to sleep with a bunch of off-speed stuff to get to the 1-2 count.
That is a very quick inning for Stripling, who's pitched 5 no-hit innings. On to the 6th, Adrian Gonzalez and Yasiel Puig coming up.
Park, the Dodgers have a 2-0 lead over your San Francisco Giants as we head into the top of the 6th inning. And yesterday, skipper Bruce Bochy asked after their big win, can the home crowd actually affect the swing of a game? He said absolutely. When they were in the 5th inning, he thought, hey, we are dead in the water, until they got the rally going and the crowd got totally into the game. He said it's so nice to have this atmosphere, not just on home opener, but every single day. The guys are already motivated to play, but when the crowd comes in like they did yesterday and that they're going to do tonight, it really helps you come back and win a ball game, gentlemen.
So, all right, Amy Jean, thank you. And that was a day to remember for sure, which makes it all the more remarkable the way the rookie Ross Stripling in his major league debut has completely shut the Giants down and kept this crowd rather quiet tonight. Just the very next day is Adrian Gonzalez is thrown out by Joe Pack. Gonzalez is now 0 for 3. And there's George Cantos starting to heat up in the Giants bullpen. There he is, Ross Stripling, in his first major league start. Now he's not just a really young raw rookie. He's 26 years old. coming back from the Tommy John surgery. Cain knocks it down. Just in time. Cain, he may have thought he had a little more time than he did with the speedy Puig running there, but he did get him.
Well, he had to drop down from under and throw about a 94-mile-an-hour seed over to Belt. And Puig, I mean, to his credit, busted his tail out of the box from the right side. Manages to make this play close.
Really got him by less than half a step, it looked like. So 2 down, Jock Peterson. Dodgers got 2 runs in the 5th inning. Cain had to throw 29 pitches to get through that inning. And one way or the other, this is probably his final inning. He's due to lead it off in the last of the 6th. With the Giants trailing, they'll likely pinch hit for him. Peterson started that 5th inning rally with a double. He's 1 for 2. 2-1 the count. We saw the slide tonight was Houston. Houston was making a dramatic comeback bid in Milwaukee. Tried to launch that one. A cutter down and in. It's 2-2. And with 1 out, they got a force out at second, and the Astros runner had a late slide and shot right on past the bag at second, and they called it a double play. Game over. Matt Cain, an 8-pitch inning, probably his final inning of the night. 2-0 LA. In part by Toyota. It's Toyota's Everyone's Talking Prius event. And everyone's talking Prius. Prius. Visit buyatoyota.com now for deals on the totally redesigned 2016 Prius. I'm John Miller with Mike Krukow, your Giants telecasters. Jeff Samardzija talking it over with Matt Cain. Cain 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits allowed. And now Gregor Blanco pinch hits for him against young Ross Stripling. And the curveball for a called strike. Nobody who started this game for the Giants has been able to get a hit. See if Blanco has any better success against Stripling, who has just been sensational in his major league debut. Ball and a strike. Gregor Blanco, 2 hits in 7 at bats. He had a pinch hit single that started the 5-run 8th inning rally yesterday. And it's 2-1. 2 runs, 6 hits for LA. No runs, no hits for the Giants. Stripling walked 2 batters in the 4th inning. Otherwise, the Giants have not been able to get anybody on against him, and certainly not with a hit. Over the outside corner, 2-2.
He's been behind the counter. Has to make a pitch with that fastball. He's been pretty good at nailing it knee-high location away, especially the lefties.
2-2 to Gregor Blanco. Bernard Span on deck. And a bloop foul. Turner gives chase. Not quite. Turner went into a slide there, real close to that railing in that field level party area.
Now that's how you protect yourself, going over to the side. He knows where the fence is or about.
It hit his knee pretty well against that padding at the base of that fence.
But you know what? I think getting dirty is part of his game, and probably has been his whole life.
Yeah, he's ready now. Gregor Blanco, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Dodgers have played a great game defensively back of Stripling. And the high curveball for the strikeout. Fourth strikeout for Stripling. And here comes Bernard Span, the leadoff man.
Well, yesterday it took the Giants 2 times through the lineup before they kind of had an idea how to approach Alex Wood. So here now, as they start their 3rd time through the lineup, it'll be interesting to see what they've learned and how they can apply it as George Contos gets up 2nd time.
And they change up in there for a strike.
And so much off speed on the first pitch, and so many strike ones with the off speed pitches.
Span got robbed of a hit by a diving Jock Peterson in center field his last time. 1-1 the count.
Now 1 of 2 spectacular defensive plays from the Dodger outfield tonight. This one from Jock Peterson going a long way and a low backhander. And takes away a knock. Giants still looking for their first hit tonight. You know, it can change things too as to what your priorities are in that dugout. When you don't have a hit, you're starting to get into the later part of the ball game. Start thinking about getting a hit instead of trying to win a ball game.
Span got a bunt hit in yesterday's game that helped fuel that 8th inning rally. He was an excellent bunter. Got 2 strikes now though. Span, we saw that play in which he got robbed of a hit by Peterson in the 4th. Duffy got robbed by Puig with a diving play back in the 2nd. On the hands. Easy play for Chase Utley. 2 down. Span is 0 for 3.
Well, get up to the minute you're up with Today in the Bay. See news that's happening right now in weather and traffic every 10 minutes. Watch Today in the Bay weekdays starting at 4:30 a.m. on NBC Bay Area, Channel 11, Cable 3 at 7:03.
Ross Stripling. Stripling missed the entire 2014 season and most of last season after his Tommy John surgery. Left field, and right there, Van Slyke. That's 6 no-hit innings for Stripling in his major league debut. On to the 7th. Van Slyke will be coming up. 2-0 LA. Orange and black. Check out pregame live and postgame live before and after every regular season Giants telecast on CSN Bay Area, authentic Bay Area sports. We head into the late innings. The Dodgers have a 2-0 lead as Scott Van Slyke will lead off. 2 runs, 6 hits for LA. No runs and no hits for the Giants against the rookie Ross Stripling.
George Cantos, the new pitcher now for the Giants. Third game that he has come into. Cantos, you'll see a low 90s fastball. Good hard slider, which is his best specialty pitch. A curveball and a changeup. He will 2 and 4 seam the fastball.
Van Slyke has flied out to center and flied out to left center. 0 for 2 as he takes ball 1. Matt Cain threw 89 pitches in his 6 innings of work. 2 runs, 6 hits allowed. One and 1 the count now.
Got to be careful when you go to the outside part of the plate on Van Slyke. I mean, he's a tall hitter, 6'4". He likes to get extended. Likes the ball middle away. Getting a lot of playing time right now against right-handed pitching because Carl Crawford's got stiff back.
Left center field, Pagan. And that's the out.
Basket style. Nice play. Let's take a look at the starting pitcher comparisons tonight. Matt Cain, I mean, he'll take tonight. He threw well. 6 hits, a couple earned runs, 3-to-1 strikeout walk ratio, 89 pitches. But the rookie, Ross Stripling, in his major league debut, has been spectacular. 6 no-hit innings. He's walked a couple. And he's done all that in 77 pitches, so he's got plenty left in the tank.
A.J. Ellis. And that cutter in there for a strike. Ellis has struck out looking, and then in the 5th inning, he knocked in the first run of the game with a single in the center field. Jock Peterson had doubled to start the inning, and Ellis knocked him in. And then later in the inning, Seager knocked him in. That's out of play off to the right. Strike 2. Cubs are playing in Arizona and leading 2-1 in the top of the 8th inning at Chase Field on the out-of-town scoreboard.
Oh, boy, did the Cubs take a hit today.
Very sad news. The outstanding young players, up-and-coming players, Kyle Schwarber out for the season. Strike 3 call.
Good hard slider. George Cantos. I mean, that's where he likes to get to you, into a 2-strike count where he hasn't shown you that slider, and then drops it on you. Even in a high location, the break was quick. It just makes you sick when you see a young player of that type of talent that has to sit out a year because of an injury.
So here's Stripling, who's got the no-hitter going in his first major league game, coming back from the Tommy John surgery. He never pitched as high as AAA ball before, and that sinker is low. Cantos didn't seem to be happy with that call. 2-0 the count. That's a strike. 2-1. Stripling last year was finally able to get back up to the Tommy John surgery. He missed an entire season and a half of last year. Made 14 starts last year in the minors. Brandon Belt, Cantos over the cover, and that's a 1-2-3 inning for George Cantos. The Giants have Pence, Belt, Duffy coming up. Still looking for a hit.
Bay Area recently improved its over-the-air signal so more people can tune in with antennas. For instructions on how to rescan your TV, visit NBCBayArea.com/rescan. Check it out and tell a friend.
2-0 LA as we go to the last of the 7th inning. And Ross Stripling, it's already been a night to remember for the rookie in his first major league game.
Well, you're right, 6 no-hit innings, but it also helps to have great defense. Yasiel Puig with one great play. Jock Peterson, the center fielder, another great play. But he's helped himself out, mixing his speeds, especially on first pitch. He's mixed his curveball, his changeup, his slider. And when he's had to come in with the fastball, he's been able to spot it on the corners. And the Giants just have not had much loud contact with him. He has been masterful. And at one point in this game, he looked like he was overamped, like you would expect a guy making his debut, especially against his team's rival. He really has been composed, and he is throwing beautifully.
Hunter Pence has flied out deep to left center and walked. Ball 1.
That's one of the few times he's missed with that breaking ball to fall behind the count 1-0. Out of Texas A&M, 2014, he did not throw a pitch.
And that had a little cut to it to the outside, called a strike.
Right on the corner.
1-1 to Hunter Pence. Belt on deck. Curveball in the dirt. But he was a great college pitcher. You mentioned Texas A&M. One year he led the nation in wins. He was one of the great pitchers ever to pitch at Texas A&M. He was an All-American. Ball 3. All right, now you got a no-hitter going, and he knows you got a no-hitter going. But if you walk him, the guy on deck can tie the game with one swing of the bat. He needs a strike. And he didn't get it. And he thought he did. He was very disappointed about that call. His shoulders really slumped. That's his 3rd walk of the game.
Well, he puts himself in the stretch position at the start of an inning for the first time tonight. It's the first leadoff hitter the Giants have been able to get on. And he didn't miss by much. And you see the reaction. Gumby shoulders.
And the Dodgers, for the first time, are going to get something going in their bullpen. Dodgers send the right-hander Pedro Baez down to the pen. Brandon Belt 0 for 2 as Pence dives safely back to the bag.
That's the Ross Stripling family right there. Those are some of the best game faces I've ever seen.
His fiance wearing the Dodger jersey.
It very possibly could be the only Ross Stripling jersey ever made. And she has it. And he keeps pitching like he has tonight. That'll all change.
The Dodgers overshifted to the right. 3 infielders to the right of second. Very high. Ball 1 to Brandon Belt. And now A.J. Ellis, the veteran catcher. Also Chase Utley, the veteran second baseman, and the shortstop Corey Seager all go to the mound to confer with Ross Stripling. He's lost the feel for the strike zone here at the beginning of the inning. He did once before in the 4th inning with 1 out. He walked both Panik and Pence in succession, but he got Belt on a fly ball to left and Duffy on a ground ball. He got out of the jam. That's the only jam he's been in.
Let's see how deep the outfield plays Brandon Belt. I mean, they're backed up.
And the changeup and way outside. Chewing up.
It's almost a no doubles defense. Dodgers really take away the right center field gap too. They really give a lot of line here to Belt.
That's the 3rd baseman, Justin Turner, the man in the middle between Gonzalez and Utley, the added man on the right side. Way outside, ball 3.
They're not giving in to him with a fastball. Ellis called a changeup. That's one of the few times tonight he's not been able to get an off-speed pitch in the strike zone when he needed to.
Dave Roberts, the new manager of the Dodgers, looking on from the dugout. He's got Baez up in the bullpen. 3-0 the count. Belt taking all the way. 3-1. The leadoff walk to Pence started the inning. Brandon Belt, he was the Giants' big RBI man. A lot of home runs during the spring. Looking for that power stroke here in the regular season. Right on the outside corner. Strike two, and Belt, he thought it was a walk.
Fastball outside corner. And really, Ellis didn't move the glove a whole lot.
So now it's 3-2. Pence at first. He's not running. There's one at second, and double play. That was a long backhanded flip to start that double play.
So how do you rule that? You scored 5-6-3?
I guess so. The third baseman.
There's the third baseman, Justin Turner.
There's one at second.
5-6-3. You can see the frustration with Bell. Bell thought he had ball four. And it winds up being a double play.
So two down and nobody on. And Matt Duffy, ball one. Duffy was robbed by Yasiel Puig of a hit back in the second inning with a diving play, and he's grounded out to second. Stripling still got the no-hitter going. Sharp dropping curveball. 1-1 the count.
And that is a 12-6 break. That is right off the table. And Duffy's got a good eye. It's not often he'll chase a ball that badly out of the strike zone.
2-0 Dodgers. 2 down, last of the seventh. And hit the mound. Utley's got it. 7 no-hit innings for rookie Ross Stripling. What a night in his major league debut. On to the 8th inning.
Premium, everything you have come to expect and much, much more. New low price for 2016. And you can watch every out-of-market game of all 30 teams live in true HD on over 400 supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Go to MLB.tv for details.
Top of the order for the Dodgers. New pitcher for the Giants, Josh Osich, the young lefty. And Chase Utley. That's ball one. A little bit high. Utley has walked. Had an infield single, and then he singled again in the 5th inning, part of the 2-run rally. The only runs of the game scored in that 5th inning. 2-0 LA. 2-0. Corey Seager on deck, and Justin Turner due up 3rd in the inning.
Josh Osich, 3rd game that he's come in this year, off to a nice start. 3 strikeouts, just 1 base runner in 2 innings. He's got a mid to high 90s fastball and a hard slider and a changeup.
Three and 0. Matt Cain went 6 innings in his first start of the year. 2 runs, 6 hits allowed. George Cantos, a 3 up, 3 down, 7th inning. Now Osich here in the 8th. That's his called strike, 3-1. Giants have had only 3 base runners for the game, all on walks by Stripling. Three and 2.
Dudley taken all the way. There really is a different role that Utley is being asked to learn, and that is the role of leadoff hitter on this club.
That is strike 3.
Two-seam movement on 95-mile-an-hour fastball inside corner, and he gets the swing through strikeout. Nice comeback from Osich's perspective. But that gentleman right there has been the story tonight. Ross Stripling in his major league debut, 7 no-hit innings against a team that had 17 hits yesterday.
That's how to play. The Giants began the night with a team batting average of .317, 45 hits in 4 games before tonight. The only pitcher in Major League history to throw a no-hitter in his debut game was back in 1892, Bumpus Jones for the Reds. Panic recovers and throws out Seager.
Bumpus Jones?
Yeah, you know, Bumpus.
Is he an original, or was that a junior?
He was 22 years old, a right-hander from Cedarville, Ohio. And he only made 8 appearances in his big league career, and in the first one pitched a no-hitter. It was the last day of the 1892 season. Beat the Pirates. He gave up a run, but pitched a no-hitter. He walked 4, and there was also an error, and the run was unearned. Didn't hurt his earned run average. The only game he pitched that year, he pitched a no-hitter. In the only game he pitched in the big leagues up till then. And that's a foul out of play by Justin Turner, who is 0 for 3.
I don't know what's more impressive, a no-hitter in his debut or his first name. I mean, it's tough to beat.
So the Reds apparently were pretty good because they weren't all that impressed with him, despite the no-hitter.
He was just another Bumpus in their eyes.
The next year, he split the season between the Reds and the Giants. The guy came to the Giants the next year.
Bumpus was a Giant too?
The next year, and he got into only 7 games overall between the Reds and Giants in 1893. He won 1 game and lost 4, and his earned run average 10.19, and that was the end of him. He would never pitch in the major leagues again. That's a base hit as the rain starts to fall. First hit of the night for Turner, and that keeps the inning going for the veteran left-handed slugger Adrian Gonzalez. There are a couple of pitchers who in their first major league starts, Bobo Holloman of the old St. Louis Browns and Ted Breitenstein of also of the St. Louis Browns, they pitched no-hitters in their first starts, but they had appeared previously as a reliever. That's the difference.
No doubt the old timers had better names. No doubt.
Bumpus?
Bumpus. That's the best.
Off the foot. Ouch. Strike 1. That was actually a nickname. His name was Charles Leander Jones. But somehow Charles Leander became Bumpus.
Bumpus. I'd like to know the story behind that. But everybody had a nickname back then.
His career record, 2 wins, 4 losses, and a 7.99 ERA. He continued to pitch professionally in the minor leagues after that. On 1 to count. Left center field. Base hit. Pagan cuts it off in the alleyway as Turner goes to third. First hit of the night for Gonzalez. First and third with 2 down. And now Yasiel Puig will come up. Giants really cannot afford to fall any further behind already. In as much as they have no hits in the game, the 2-run deficit seems huge. So here's Puig, who's had a single and twice grounded out. In the dirt, smothered by Trevor Brown.
Nice play right there. Fastballs in the dirt can be unpredictable. They can skim on you. They can come up on you. Fastballs and splits in the dirt, the toughest ones to block.
A light rainfall here. There's Turner at third. Gonzalez at first. Belt on the bag with it. 1 ball and no strikes. Did he swing? No. An appeal. Belatedly an appeal made to Brian O'Nora.
There's the rain you're talking about.
Big pitch here with 2 men on and 2 men out. Puig having a red hot first week of the season. A little bit low. On deck is the left-handed hitting Jock Peterson.
Osich at times during spring has had problems with the fastball getting it in the strike zone.
And this is one of those times. The walk has loaded the bases. He got the first two hitters very quickly. Utley and Seager, but then Turner singled, Gonzalez singled. Now Puig with the walk and Dave Righetti out to the mound.
Corey Guerin very quickly head down the Giants bullpen, and it's an ultra red alert. And I think one of the really strong things that Dave Righetti does as a pitching coach, and he does a lot of strong things. I mean, he's as good as he is. In situations like this, when the guy's struggling with command, I mean, he gets a guy back in the strike zone. His visits to the mound are very productive in these instances. And believe it or not, this long inning might hurt this guy.
Ross Stripling, who is trying to do something tonight. Up to this point, he's certainly got a chance to do it. Something that's only been done one other time in Major League history. And that, as we learned, was done in, 1892. Rain getting a little heavier. Not a heavy rain per se, but very steady. 3 men on, 2 men out. Off the outside.
One thing we know about Jock Peterson is he will let the fur fly, especially when he's got count leverage. He's on top right now, 1-0. And he will try and get real greedy right here.
No, 2-0. So the tension builds for Josh Osich. There's nowhere to put him, and he needs a strike right now to a guy who's got enormous power. And the ball's not going where he wants it to go right now. In the rain, besides. Got the call on that one.
And that was a gift. And Peterson is making his case. He thought that pitch was low. down below the knees. Dave Roberts not happy.
Two and one the count now. Three infielders to the right of second. Brandon Belt. A high feed there, tossing a wet baseball, but handled by the tall Josh Osich. 3 men left. The Giants have not had a hit. Stripling back to the mound. Crawford coming up. As we see the Bay Bridge through that rain and putting on its light show. Dodger series continues tomorrow. You can see it on CSN Bay Area. Bumgarner and Kershaw, the classic matchup. 1 o'clock, Giants pregame live at 12:30. We'll be back with you on NBC Bay Area and the Giants Television Network next Friday at 7. Giants and Dodgers from SoCal. Crowd now trying to rally the Giants, who have not had a hit against the former All-American from Texas A&M, who once pitched a no-hitter at A&M. Crawford the hitter. Changeup, ball 1.
Activity in the Dodger bullpen. It's Chris Hatcher, their setup man, the right-hander, getting heated up. And he's getting heated up quick. I don't believe if any other Giant gets on base, Stripling will be allowed to continue.
There's Hatcher, number 41, hard throwing right-hander. Well, the field getting a little wet now. Angel Pagan on deck. 2-0 LA. He chased, got a changeup in the dirt.
Just have not been able to pick up his off-speed stuff.
Stripling pitched a no-hitter in 2012. Not quite 4 years ago. He beat San Diego State 1-0 with a no-hitter. Change up, right center field. Puig on the move, gets there.
Really not a lot of lower body in that swing. I mean, Crawford was reaching for it. And that's rare. I mean, Crawford usually can keep his lower body in the swing as good as any hitter on this Giants team. At that time, he was reaching.
It's now Pagan, who has flied out to left center and to right center. He's 0 for 2. Too high. 1 ball, no strikes. 2 runs, 8 hits for the Dodgers. The Giants with no runs and no hits. Stripling has dazzled him. 2-0. In the rain now. Does the rain, does it tend to bother a pitcher like this? I mean, it hasn't really been a heavy rain, but it's been pretty steady now for a while.
It's a distraction. It is. You concern yourself about your plant foot. Is it going to hold up? Is there going to be some slide in it?
Big rip there by Pagan, but fouled straight back.
He had his legs into that swing. The other thing too is, you know, the rosin bag gets wet. Not that Stripling has used the rosin bag a whole lot tonight, but that thing right there, if it gets wet, it's worthless.
2-1 the count to Angel Pagan. 3-1.
He walks Pagan. Pagan gets on base anyway. I think he's out, especially with the next pitch being pitch number 100 on the night.
It is number 100, and he has walked him, his 4th walk. Dave Roberts signaling down to the bullpen to see if Hatcher's ready. We got the word that he was, and he's coming out.
Well, they're not going to expose him to a loss after how well he's pitched tonight. They're just not going to do it. I mean, this is his debut. He didn't want to come out, but 100 pitches into it. He was fantastic tonight.
Dave Roberts gets booed by the Giants fans for taking out a pitcher who's got a no-hitter going. Well, in his first start, he did not allow a hit, but it's not a no-hitter. We'll be back. Tonight, Ross Stripling in his major league debut, seemingly with a rendezvous with destiny, take it out of the game in the midst of a no-hitter. But he's a guy coming back from Tommy John surgery, and the Dodgers were not of a mind to allow a little thing like history get in the way of what they think is best for this young guy's arm. So here's Chris Hatcher, hard-throwing right-hander, a 96-mile-an-hour fastball for ball 1 to Trevor Brown. And as Hatcher enters the game, Buster Posey has entered the on-deck circle for the Giants, with the pitcher due up next. There's Buster. Runner at first, 1 out. A little bit low, 2-0.
And you're right about the hard throw. I mean, Hatcher can get up there mid to high 90s. He'll sink and cut the fastball, hard slider and a split. Hatcher, a 3-year veteran, 31 years of age.
A little bit low again, 3-0. A.J. Ellis felt like they were at the bottom of the strike zone there, because he got called out in a pitch very similar to that in the first half of the 7th inning. 3-0. That one right through there, 95. There's Stripling rooting on Hatcher. Well, one thing for sure, there's nothing about Stripling's night that's a negative. He leaves the game with a no-hitter with 1 out in the 8th inning in his first major league start.
Well, they're trying to get him through 5 innings, and he takes a no-hitter into the 8th. I mean, yeah, they're pretty happy.
High drive, deep left center, way back there, and goodbye! A home run! Trevor Brown has tied the game. The first hit for the Giants has tied the game. And the rookie, Trevor Brown, filling in for Buster Posey, has the big moment. His first major league home run for Trevor Brown. And despite leaving with a no-hitter, Stripling cannot even win this game now.
Well, he gets a good workout, but in one swing of the bat, they get their first hit, they get a couple of runs, and they tie the score. And one of our keys tonight was to get Trevor Brown an average, and he's got one now. His first big league home run, and it lit this crowd up.
And he takes a bow. So now with the Giants having tied the game, it is not Buster Posey, but rather Ehire Adrianza who comes up. What a moment for Trevor Brown. Rookies on parade tonight at AT&T Park in the midst of the Giants and Dodgers. Stripling, who was the headliner, and he ends up really being outshone a bit by Trevor Brown on a night when he leaves with a no-hitter. He had a no-hitter, but he ends up giving up a run in his first major league start.
It may be that Trevor Brown had a little experience against him. We don't know. I mean, nobody else in that lineup had a clue as to what Stripling was all about.
And that's a foul out of play off the left field line. 2-1.
Trevor Brown, who takes Chris Hatcher's fastballs down and in, ahead the count, stumbles out of the box.
High drive, deep.
And a majestic high fly ball, the way my partner likes to call him.
It's over the 382 marker out there, and there's ball 3 to Adrianza.
And watch the reaction in the Giants dugout as they start to measure. And when it goes over the wall,
the Dodger dugout had a little bit of a different reaction. Just off the outside, ball 4 to Adrianza. As a pinch hitter, he draws a walk, and the possible go-ahead run is on base now. And Hatcher is really fuming there about the strike zone. Stripling, 7 1/3 in his major league debut. No hits, but 1 run, and it scored after he was out of the game.
Very Bumpus-like. Only this one was earned.
Bumpus Jones, the only pitcher in history to actually pitch a no-hitter in his major league debut. He gave up an unearned run, and that was in 1892. Stripling did not get the chance to equal Bumpus Jones' feat, taken out of the game after 100 pitches.
Oh, and Hatcher just threw his arms up, and he challenges Jeff Kellogg, the plate umpire. And A.J. Ellis very quickly got himself in front of Hatcher, and Hatcher needs to calm it down.
So the new manager, Dave Roberts, out there in a hurry. The catcher, as Roberts took over the argument of the plate, A.J. Ellis then took Hatcher back to the mound. And he's just been thrown out of the game.
Well, you can't argue balls and strikes, and I think that was what he did. Well, Kellogg's telling him, you can't argue. It's not my rule. You broke a rule, you're gone. is the pitch that Hatcher wanted. I mean, it's off the plate. I mean, you can't react to where Ellis set up. I mean, he set a wide target. He caught it off his left leg. But you cannot show an umpire up like that. You understand you're frustrated. You just gave up a home run to tie the score, but you cannot show up an umpire in that regard. And they'll react every time the way that Kellogg reacted. And I credit A.J. Ellis to get in front of Kellogg as quickly as he did. You might have seen Hatcher get tossed.
Well, and Hatcher really wants to blame the whole thing on Jeff Kellogg, because that last pitch, as you say, it was off the outside. It was a few inches off the corner. And the Pitch FX on the MLB app shows the same thing, 3 or 4 inches off the corner. That is there for a strike now to Denard Span. Trevor Brown with an electrifying moment, a 2-run homer for the Giants' first hit. Just after Stripling, who was flirting with a no-hitter, was taken out of the game.
That's about as hard to see a home plate as I've ever seen in a big league game. Good split right there. That was nasty.
Usually the plate umpire will go out with his whisk broom at some point and dust it off, but not now. Bench coach Bob Guerin, I guess, is the acting manager now. You saw Ross Stripling watching from the dugout. But no matter what happens in this game, Stripling had a night that was beyond many for any pitcher at a major league debut. But he may not have a good taste in his mouth about it at this point. Issuing a walk and being pulled out of the game right after. And now the Dodgers don't even have the lead anymore. 2-2 the count. Stripling, who's been watching all the while, he's taking a walk now. There is Santiago Casilla, the closer, just in case, alongside Corey Guerin. That's out of play.
Well, you see 2 right-handers in the bullpen. It's simple. If the Giants take the lead, you'll see Casilla. If it stays tied, you're going to see Guerin. All because of that guy right there. His first big league home run, breaking up a no-hitter and tying the score with a 2-run shot. Trevor Brown. Telling Hunter Strickland, yeah, it felt so good.
There goes the runner. Foul. Still 2-2.
Oh, ball dude. Left Brown.
Everybody's up.
That's his brother Rich on the other side of the field.
Everybody's in this game, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. It's the big leagues.
2-2 now. Denard Span. Adrianza running on that last pitch. Here he goes again. Back to the screen.
He's on it.
The Dodgers got 2 runs in the 5th inning. The Giants had not had a hit until here in the 8th inning. Went with 1 out. And Ross Stripling, after a walk, removed from the game with his no-hitter. Hatcher came in, and Trevor Brown, giving Buster Posey a breather tonight, hit a 2-run homer. Stripling back up there at the railing now. Quite a performance by him. 2-2 the count. There goes Adrianza. Back at short. Seager gets it. Nice play. He had started to move toward the middle, but was able to recover just in time. Adrianza moves over to second.
Man, it's such a hard play for any player to have your momentum going one way, and in this case it was Seager going to the bag at second and have to come back across his body's momentum. And watch him move towards the bag. Now he's got to come back. Short backhand. Realize there's no play at second, and then gets the out at first, but It's nice body control from a guy 6'4".
Now Joe Panik, who has gone 0 for 2 plus a walk. And a base hit could put the Giants ahead. Adrianza runs well. He's at second. Two to two here in the 8th. Pence on deck. Hatcher is low.
Got a very good arm in left field with Van Slyke. Average arm with Peterson in center, and you have an absolute cannon in right field with Yasiel Puig. 2 outs. Adrianza is going to get a good jump. If it goes straight to a corner outfielder, there's going to be a bit play at the plate.
In the rain. Giants getting their first 2 runs of the night, their first hit of the night in the rain here in the 8th inning. 2 to 2. Joe Panik trying to deliver here on a night when the hits have been very scarce for the Giants. They have just the 1 for the game. And the Beat LA chant goes up. Hatcher. Adrianza stranded, and we are going to the 9th inning. Van Slyke coming up. Trevor Brown with his big moment in the big leagues. A home run to tie the game. On to the 9th.
It has complete Giants coverage on Sportsnet Central every night at 10:30 p.m. You see it on CSN, Authentic Bay Area Sports.
Inning number 9. Still a light rain falling as Corey Guerin comes in for the Giants bullpen to face the powerful Scott Van Slyke. 2 to 2 the score. And that in there for a called strike.
The number so far for Guerin is in his 3rd game. He really threw the ball very well all spring long. Earned himself a spot in this roster. Sinker baller. Low 3/4 release. You're going to see a little slider, and he's got a split.
Van Slyke has gone 0 for 3. Pagan made a nice play on him back in the 7th inning in left center. Slider at the knees, called a strike. Kane started, went 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits allowed, 1 walk. George Cantos, a perfect 7th. Osich, a difficult 8th inning, but no runs allowed. Now Guerin, 4th Giants pitcher of the game. Going back deep into center. Span at the wall. Wow.
Well, I'm impressed with the carry. I guess he gets out a little bit on the end of the bat too with Van Slyke. Gives you an idea how strong he is. And Bernard Span using every bit of a good jump. And in the end, he catches it with room to spare. Takes on that wall to slow himself down. That's when you enjoy the pads. You can't do that at Wrigley Field. No pads.
Ivy.
Yeah, no pad, Ivy.
A.J. Ellis, ball 1 inside. Ellis knocked in the first run of the game with a 1-out single back in the 5th inning. He's 1 for 3. He's also struck out twice. Both bullpens are busy. Fastball in there, 1-1. Javier Lopez is warming up in the Giants bullpen. There he is, a veteran left-hander. Carl Crawford is in the on-deck circle for the Dodgers. And there is Pedro Baez, big right-hander up in the LA bullpen. Kenley Jansen, the closer, has gone down. He hasn't started throwing yet. Right back to Guerin. Quick reactions. 2 down. So now Carl Crawford will be introduced into the game. He's the only left-handed hitter on the Dodger bench. We'll see if Bruce Bochy will make a move. He's got the left-hander ready. Of course, the Dodgers have 4 right-handed hitters to whom they could turn. Bochy brought in the left-hander, Lopez. Looks like he's going to stick with Guerin right now.
Well, Crawford's not playing because he's had some stiffness in his back. I mean, if you want to have a hitter with a stiff back hit against your right-hander, or do you want to bring in a lefter to face somebody, a left-hander to face somebody else from the right side?
So really, he was only in there to get Lopez into the game so they could put up Kike Hernandez. Kike Hernandez just came out of the dugout, is in the on-deck circle, and Bochy wants to know if Carl Crawford was already entered into the game or not, because he might be thinking if you don't change a pitcher, then maybe the guy's supposed to stay in there. Bob Guerin, you saw, the bench coach, who's the acting manager after the ejection of Dave Roberts. But now, after conferring with Bochy, Jeff Kellogg is going to meet with all of the umpires here. Kellogg is the crew chief. There's Tom Payne coming over and Alan Porter. Now Brian Onora comes into the picture.
They're going to talk it over. You know what I found out talking with Ed Monty? There's one guy on every umpire's crew that is the rules specialist. I mean, they all know the rules, but there's one guy who is the guy.
Well, Crawford has to have been entered into the game. He was standing in the batter's box, so he had to have been entered into the game by then. So he's out of the game. I think Bochy's contention was that since the Giants didn't change pitchers, maybe Crawford should have batted. But what do you do if Crawford said, "Well, I'm injured. I can't bat"?
Maybe what he said.
Of course, Bochy may have countered and said, "Well, I think he was injured before he ever got to the plate."
Which is why Bochy never took the bait and went to Javier Lopez. I think Javier Lopez went down there thinking, when I'm getting loose, I'm thinking about one guy, and that's Chase Utley, who's on deck.
Kike Hernandez. That's deep into center field. Span racing back. Now he squares up. Inning over. Couple of deep drives to center, but both for outs. Pence, Belt, Duffy, 2-2. The Giants' only runs on their only hit. As he is in the dugout, the rain continues to fall. We're in the last of the 9th inning. 2-2 the score. Pence, Belt, and Duffy are the Giants' due-ups, the 3, 4, 5 spots in the order tonight. And the Dodgers have gone to their bullpen. There is Pedro Baez. It was Baez who came on during the 8th inning here yesterday and gave up the grand slam to Hunter Pence.
Buster Posey's good friend. There you see the numbers on Baez. This will be the 3rd time he's come into a game. A hard thrower. You're going to see mid to high 90s with the fastball velocity, a slider and a changeup. And it was a slider that Hunter Pence hit out of the ballpark yesterday. It was a hanger, but it was the speed that Hunter Pence was looking for. Baez left it up and middle in, and it left the ballpark in a hurry.
By the way, that is the total amount of experience that Hunter Pence has had in regular season play against Baez. That's the only time he's ever faced him. Pence has flied out deep to left center and twice walked in this game. 2-2, last of the 9th. The Giants have been out hit 8-1, and yet they're in a tie game. Fastball on the outside edge at 97 miles an hour.
Not going to do much of that. 97 at the knees, outside corner. Step out, tip your hat, be thankful it was the 1st strike and not the 3rd strike.
Buster Posey alongside Trevor Brown, who playing in Buster's place tonight. 0-2.
Well, here was the swing of the bat we're talking about. Bases loaded. Hanging slider. And that took the crowd noise to another level.
All hard stuff this time. And a high strike, a swinging strike 2, and even higher for strike 3. Brandon Belt was grounded to 3rd, flied out to left, and grounded it into a double play. Javier Lopez back down to the bullpen. One ball and no strikes.
Yeah, that's a changeup first pitch. You're not going to go up there looking for a changeup when the guy is already established in your mind he's throwing 97. I'll tell you that right now.
Got the high strike. Belt complains on that one to Jeff Kellogg.
Well, he thought it was up. And he may have thought it was up and away.
A ball and a strike to Brandon Belt. 3 infielders to the right of second. And he's out of play. Change speeds on him that time. 87 miles an hour. 1-2. Matt Duffy is on deck. Two and two.
Oh, overthrow right there from Baez.
Looks like Duffy wanted a little information about Baez here from Bam Bam Mullins, the hitting instructor.
Yeah, they know what the velocity is. They can see it. Pretty good idea. It's, you know, it's high petrol. They want to know the movement.
Struck him out with the high fastball. The Belt walks away shaking his head. I'm sure he feels like he had to swing at that high fastball since a high fastball had already been called a strike on him earlier.
Well, you're right. He feels he had to go out of the strike zone and chase it because the pitch had already been called a strike early in the count.
Now Matt Duffy. Duffy has been robbed of a hit by a diving play from Puig in right field and twice grounded out to second. The high hard one. He's blown it by the Giants right now.
Yeah, that was middle in, right above the hands at 96.
Two down, nobody on. Giants trying to win it in the 9th, but they got nobody on right now. That's a ball outside. The Dodgers, Pedro Baez trying to get this game into extra innings. The Dodgers would have the top of their batting order up in the 10th. Both Javier Lopez, the left-hander, and Santiago Casilla, a right-hander, warming up in the Giants bullpen. Out of play.
He was late.
There's Lopez, number 49. Casilla, the right-hander, 46. Dodgers have two lefties and then the right-hander due up in the 10th.
Well, same format. If the game stays tied, you're going to see Javier Lopez. If the Giants take a lead here, you'll see Casilla.
Slow tap. Chase Utley just got him at first. And we are going to the 10th inning. Utley, Seager, and Turner coming up. It's 2-2.
10th inning. And new pitcher now for the Giants will be Javier Lopez. Let's take a look at what he has done. The third time he comes in. For Javier Lopez. Low three-quarter release, high sidearm, somewhere in there, and he can even go lower. Throw a fastball with 2 types of movement, curveball, slider, and changeup. And by the way, thanks for reminding me the last inning was the 9th inning. That was very important.
Dave Roberts was thrown out of the game after this pitch was called a ball, and Chris Hatcher threw his arms in the air, came down off the mound. Roberts tried to keep his pitcher from getting kicked out, and then Roberts himself got kicked out.
I think he questioned the pitch, and Jeff Kellogg's mind, it was arguing balls and strikes, which you cannot do. And I'll say this about Dave Roberts. That's as quick as I've ever seen a manager get from the dugout to home plate.
He may be the fastest manager in history.
You're right. But right now it's extra frames.
So Javier Lopez in. They've brought out some of the drying agent around home plate, pitcher's mound around the bases, and in a stretch between home plate and first base. Put a watch on him.
Yeah, that's pretty good right there. A.J. Ellis got out there very quickly, and it really, I think that's what kept Hatcher in the game.
Chase Utley facing Javier Lopez. And those numbers include postseason play. It seemed like, I'm sure for Utley and Ryan Howard and some of the big left-handed bats they had in that powerful Phillies lineup back in 2010, that Lopez was facing them every night in the 8th inning with the game on the line, and Lopez didn't give any of them anything. Brandon Belt will take it to the back. Utley is gone.
1 for 23. I don't know if you could ever be friends with a guy you were 1 for 23 against. You know? I don't know if that would be possible.
Well, there was a time last year when I think we thought it might be possible that we could find out. The reports were the Giants were trying to acquire Chase Utley, but other reports said that he didn't want to come here, so he ended up being acquired by the Dodgers instead. Maybe that was it. Maybe it was the Lopez thing. I can't be teammates with that guy.
Yeah, there's no way. I'm 1 for 22 against him.
Brandon Crawford right there. Gets the grip on the wet baseball and throws out Corey Seager. 2 down. 2-2 in the 10th inning. The right-handed hitting Justin Turner coming up. Bruce Bochy's got his closer, Santiago Casilla, and he's going to bring him into the game. And it looks like as part of a double switch here, Buster Posey's also going to enter the game, replacing Brandon Belt at first base. New pitcher coming in. 2-2. We'll be back.
On Trevor Brown, he actually had a tiny bit of experience against Dodgers reliever Chris Hatcher. He faced him last year in September once, and he singled off of him. So maybe he relied on that tonight, guys.
All right, good bit of information right there. Little background on Trevor Brown's head-to-head against Hatcher, who came into the game just to face him, for Ross Stripling, who departed with a no-hitter. And then Trevor Brown got the first hit for the Giants against Hatcher, a home run to tie it up. Justin Turner against Santiago Casilla. It's 1-1. It's a 1 strike to count.
Opens up the at-bat with a nice tight little cutter in the outside corner. Casilla is a rare closer in that he can give you 5 different pitches and throw them at you at any time, and they're all quality. Give you 2 types of fastball that can go low to mid-90s, curveball, cutter, changeup. Buster Posey comes into first base in the double switch. He'll hit in the 9th spot.
Buster would be due up 4th in the last half of the 10th inning. Turner 1 for 4 in the game. Strike 2 call to get the low strike on the outside. Turner can't believe it.
Two-seamer comes right back in at the outside corner. Framed there by Trevor Brown. Definitely a pitcher strike. But Turner's got no choice now. He's got to expand the zone.
Adrian Gonzalez on deck. Duffy hugging the line deep at third. Not this time.
And now Casilla thought that he was wrong. That was about an inch wider than the last one that was called a strike. And you got to have guts to take a pitch like that if you're Turner after watching the second strike get called against you.
2-2 the count. And that's into right field, base hit. So Justin Turner stayed alive on that last close one and then got himself a hit. And now the red hot Adrian Gonzalez will come up. Casilla may be fuming a little bit now, thinking that he had Turner struck out to end the inning. The pitch FX, by the way, showed that pitch that was in dispute maybe an inch and a half further away than the previous one that had been called a strike. That was, according to pitch FX, right on the very black. Adrian Gonzalez 1 for 4. Ball 1. He's had only 1 hit in 10 career at bats with 3 strikeouts against Casilla. Kenley Jansen, the closer, is up in the LA bullpen should they take the lead, but Joe Blanton, the veteran right-hander, is also up out there. Dodgers have 9 hits. The Giants have 1. Turner back to the bag. Wet night. It's been raining for what, maybe the last 3 innings?
Yeah, I mean, not real hard, but steady. It is enough rain to mess with you a little bit, especially if you have a batting helmet on. It makes a noise on your helmet. You hear it.
You can see it behind the count, 2-0.
He's going to take a walk. He's being very respectful right now, but now he's got himself in a 2-0 hole. You do not want to walk a hitter and put a runner in scoring position because of the walk. So this should be a pretty good pitch to hit. It should be in the strike zone.
Yasiel Puig is on deck, a right-handed hitter, and a good one. Well, the high hard one, and he blew it by him.
Yeah, I think Gonzalez was thinking the same thing. He was letting out some shaft on that swing.
Giants 2, Dodgers 2, 10th inning, 2 down. Turner, the runner at first, Posey on the bag with him, and now time is taken. Turner back to the bag with a dive.
It's not likely that Turner is going to try and steal, but if you let him walk into a lead, then he'll take off. Smart player. So from Casillas' perspective, you have to make him stop before you come home.
Now it is 3-1 to Gonzalez. Turner had 5 steals last year, 6 the year before with the Dodgers, and maybe all of those were in situations just as you described, Mike. Crawford, the shortstop, almost right up the middle for Adrian Gonzalez. Tense moment here. Crawford's got to go back to his right. Here's the long throw with a wet baseball. He got it there. Nicely done under difficult conditions. It's wet and getting wetter. Crawford, Pagan, Brown, and Buster Posey. Posey would be due up 4th, last of the 10th. Veteran right-hander back in the big leagues with the Dodgers out of the bullpen as we go to the last half of the 10th inning in a 2-2 tie.
Yeah, veteran right-hander, and he's done everything in the game. Most of his career he's been a starter. And one thing Joe Blanton has always been able to do is paint. Last year in 36 games between Kansas City and Pittsburgh, 7-2 with a 2.84 ERA. Really found a home in the bullpen. 79 strikeouts in 76 innings. He's got a fastball that's right around 90. He'll sink it, cut it. You won't see many mistakes out over the plate. Good curveball, slider, changeup combination. He'll throw anything, anytime.
Charlie Culberson comes in with Blanton to play third base as part of a double switch. So Blanton will hit in the spot where Turner had been, the third spot of the order, and Culberson in the 9th spot. Brandon Crawford leads off for the Giants, 0 for 3 in the game. Pagan on deck. A hit well to left field. Back, still going back. Goodbye and good night. Brandon Crawford has ended it. An opposite field home run. An electrifying moment to end a long night. The Giants on 2 hits beat LA in 10, 3-2.
On this ballpark, veteran pitchers will make you go away, but the pitch was up right at the belt, and Crawford, who has excellent power in the opposite field, just stays right on the bottom half and back spins it right into the bleachers. and sends everybody home happy. His second homer of the year. And what a night for Giants fans.
It's the second game of the week the Giants have won in a low-scoring pitchers battle. They beat Milwaukee 2-1 on Tuesday, and now 3-2 tonight. A night they get only 2 hits. They were being no-hit until the 8th inning, and their only hits 2 long balls. Otherwise, they may never have scored at all. And you pointed it out a few innings ago that the ball seemed to be carrying extremely well tonight, and it certainly seemed to on that one to left field.
It's just such an improbable thing still, even with the carry we saw in this ballpark, to see a ball go out the opposite field, especially to end it and go over the wall.
Let's go downstairs now to Amy G.
All right, well, Brandon Crawford just lit up some fireworks here, but Trevor Brown got it going. You recorded the first hit of the game. Now, these are things that, well, heads up. That looks really, it's a good look for you, and that was really nice because it's just bubble gum. Trevor, these are the things that you dream about in your backyard when you're a little boy. You hit your first major league home run, you break up a no-hitter, and it's against your biggest rivalry. What can you share about what's going through your mind right now?
Honestly, I think this is probably the coolest baseball moment I've ever been a part of. It was just such a nail-biter of a game. The guy was out there, he was throwing such a good game against us, and we were just in here battling. It was such a battle, and to come from behind too, and like you said, it was a whole lot of firsts for me right there, and honestly, it was such a cool experience, and to come in the dugout and just feel everyone behind you is really cool.
You have to give props to Stripling tonight and his debut. He was fabulous. You guys could not get anything going against him. They bring in Hatcher, a questionable move, but certainly a break. We're doing the numbers quickly. You have 1 at-bat against Hatcher last year, and you single off of him. Do you draw on that experience, or what are you thinking when you go into that at-bat?
Honestly, I like you said, Stripling was out there pitching like a veteran, like he's been out here doing it for a long time. He had our number. He was pitching a really good game, and honestly, I hadn't gotten anywhere close to hitting a ball with him. So for me, it was almost a sigh of relief. I'm like, okay, hopefully I have a little bit of a better shot off this guy, and so. I just kind of went up there and I got into a good 3-1 hitters count, and I was just trying to be short to it. I didn't have very many good swings early on, and I was trying to just be short, and you get lucky sometimes. I'm not a really big power guy, so I mean it was fun. It was fun.
Matt Cain, fabulous job in his regular season debut, but we got to ask you about Brandon Crawford, the home run, a walk-off home run. It just doesn't get any more exciting than that. The team's reaction. Oh,
it was like you said. That was such a cool experience. Just going out there, and I've only been a part of maybe 3 in my whole life, and up here against the Dodgers in the rain and extra innings, it's just such an experience. It's so awesome.
It's storybook for sure. Trevor Brown, congratulations on your first major league home run. Gentlemen, let's get it up to you.
Congratulations to Trevor Brown and also to Brandon Crawford, and what a night it was. Another one of those epic Giants and Dodgers nights, a game that was entirely different than yesterday's, and yet another happy inning and an electrifying moment a couple of times, a couple of electrifying moments at the end. 3-2 Giants in 10 innings. We're going to have more from AT&T Park. Stay with us. The Giants on Brandon Crawford's walk-off homer beat LA 3-2.